And when she came in the morning, and I had a beautiful office. I mean, really, like beautiful office. My dance partner's boyfriend at the time, Terry, was working for a leasing company, and they actually leased equipment to big corporations, and they had some leftover beautiful cherry desks and computers. And so when you walked into my office, it looked like I was, CEO of Fortune 5000, 500 company. And so my mom was so happy to see that her son actually had a real job. I took this bus. I stayed with my friends that I met in Germany. Actually, I met this family in Germany, and they moved to Canada and they went to London, Ontario. I didn't really have any plans of being there, but because I knew somebody, that was a nice place to stay. They had kids my age. I was actually friends with the parents, even though they had kids my age. So now you guys know what kind of person Martin is. And so they go, okay, get on this bus, go to this address. You go in and you registered for your university and English as a second language, because I did not speak English. So you go to university and you take your English classes plus some other electives like math and things that are super easy.
Mhm.
If you had some kind of previous degrees, because if you didn't, obviously that would be very difficult with foreign language.
Right.
So I get off the bus, and the first building on the corner is Fred Astaire Dance Studio with a big signs, we're hiring. And the second building is the university building. So I actually passed the Fred Astaire. I went in and I signed up for all these classes and things. And then I went back outside the building. I walked in and applied to teach. Since I samba with my right foot forward, etc., the lady asked me, and we had difficulty communicating because I do not speak English at the time. And she asked me to dance with her, and I stepped on her because she started back on her right foot and I stepped forward. So I did the international style.
Mhm.
And so then she looked at me, she said, "Oh, European." And then we danced, and pretty much I got hired. Interestingly enough, Canada has a really good social system. So my schooling is free. Not only that, because I didn't have any family and any income, they allowed me to work part-time, go to school part-time, and paid for my schooling and my housing for 3 months, I think.
Wow.
So I decided to actually teach full-time and skip the school. So, however,
Yeah.
dancing has been great ever since.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting how fate kind of just was like, here is the path. This is the path that we have predetermined for you. It would have been very easy for you to walk past the Fred Astaire and go straight to college, and your life would have been
And I
completely
would be, yes,
different.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Now, interestingly enough, my parents were very upset about this. Both of them have degrees, and my dad has doctor in economy. And so, me not having a college degree, they were and having a job that was almost to them physical
Yeah.
work and not a desk job or using your intellect. Um, was very difficult until my mom came to visit me in Canada after I opened my studio. And when she came in the morning, and I had a beautiful office. I mean, really, like beautiful office. My dance partner's boyfriend at the time, Terry, was working for a leasing company, and they actually leased equipment to big corporations, and they had some leftover beautiful cherry desks and computers. And so when you walked into my office, it looked like I was, CEO of Fortune 5000, 500 company. And so my mom was so happy to see that her son actually had a real job, even though me sitting behind the desk did not pay the bills.
Yeah. The
But I
the
mean,
window
there were,
dressing was enough to be like, okay, he's doing all right for himself.
yeah, so that was very nice. And so I've lived in Canada for 4 years, and then Forrest Vance introduced me to Antoinette Daub, the owner of Fred Astaire Corporation in Arizona. And in '94, I moved to the United States.
Okay. So the studio, the did you own a franchise for Fred Astaire in Canada before you
No,
opened the
no, no.
franchise
I am
or
not. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, no. I worked for Fred Astaire
Okay.
for 1 year. We have conflict of interest with the owner of the studio, my partner and I, and him. And So we opened our own studio and had that for a couple of years.
Gotcha. So you had an independent studio in Canada and then were
Yeah.
approached and introduced. Okay.
We actually called it the National School of Dance. It sounded really fancy.
Very important sounding.
We were a couple 20-year-old kids running our own business.
That's awesome. We have a question from the chat. What is Fred Astaire? So Fred Astaire obviously is named after the amazing dancer. I believe and correct me if I'm wrong, he and his wife originally started it, correct?
Yes.
So it is a franchise system. There are two main franchises in the US. There's Arthur Murray and Fred Astaire that kind of have a large amount of name recognition. And just like with any franchise like Subway or McDonald's or anything else that you're probably more familiar with, you as a owner can apply to take on the name Fred Astaire or Arthur Murray, and the studio will be run as part of their larger global system. There's a methodology. They have their own syllabus that they require their instructors to teach from and their students to learn from. They have their own competition kind of slate and schedule that works within the franchise only. So it's a larger dance family. And I know Fred Astaire has now gone internationally. I think Arthur Murray has now gone internationally as well.
And they have been for a long, long time. Because especially if you talk about Canada, but there is Arthur Murray and Fred Astaire in Europe, in Germany. I don't know if there was one in England, but definitely in Germany, I think, Australia and things in places. However, so now that we talk about Fred Astaire starting, I don't remember exactly. Let's say we could. So don't check the facts and then correct us, please. So we don't distribute fake news. Fred Astaire, I think, opened his first studio in New York. And again, I don't remember. But he actually created the system of teaching, and he thought that would be very nice for people to come and learn how to ballroom dance. And so he ran his first training class. What's a training class is you get a bunch of people that already know how to dance, and then you train them to be teachers. You tell them how to teach. You tell them ladies and men's part. In his training class, in the first training class, in the first dance studio, was a lady called Shirley Zangler. And I don't think that was her last name at the time. That's probably her husband's name. But Shirley went in and decided to become a dance teacher. So Shirley goes, Fred Astaire is her teacher to become a dance teacher. She took notes in a little booklet. She became a dance teacher. She's teaching a private lesson to this young gentleman who wanted to learn to dance and go out dancing. Fraternizing is usually look upon of, but they fall in love, get married, move to Japan when he is an engineer. All their lives they live abroad. In 1997, after he passed away, Shirley Zangler walked into my Fred Astaire dance studios in Sun City West, where she retired, and brought her booklets from 50 years earlier when she wanted to be a dance teacher. And she goes, I have these notes here, the foxtrot is walk, side together. Let's review it. I have pictures of Shirley. I should have had it. If I would have known, we talked about Fred Astaire. Shirley actually danced with me as a student for many, many years and competed, but she was one of the first dance teachers at Fred Astaire Dance Studio. So that was kind of like a fun thing that really happened.
You moved to Phoenix. You are the owner now of one Fred franchise, which then becomes 3,
2, and 3, and actually I think, and I never started counting. So Sun City West, Sun City, then Central Phoenix, then Ahwatukee, then Tucson. So we kept one, but we keep building and training staff, and then selling them or giving them to managers to run, so people have the opportunity in dancing. So when I moved to Phoenix in '94, we had 1, 2, 3 locations. And then within that 10 years period when I was there, I think we had 14.
Wow.
And most of them. And so lots of them I actually helped with the training class. So it's a funny story, because talking about Fred Astaire, training Shirley and then her coming to being my student, I actually ran the training class for the Fred Astaire dance studios, for all the studios, for Antoinette, who, by the way, passed away a couple of years ago of breast cancer. So she was a really good friend. I ran the training class, and in my training class, there were some crazy people that actually became pretty good, like J.T. Thomas, and so it's very, very interesting to look at it and go, oh, I know all of those people. When they were first started, lots of the champions come from Arizona and that franchise. So,
Yeah.
which is good.
I feel like if you ever want to very quickly meet people in the industry, you just need to go to a competition with Martin, because having gone now to a couple, you walk in and it's like, okay, this is so and so, this is so and so. I trained so and so. I think I trained your mom. I remember you when you were 2. Okay, this is so and so. Oh, I remember you. It's just like, okay, apparently everyone in this industry knows who Martin is.
They used to. I mean, we don't go as much, obviously, but we're way more social studio right now
Yep.
than I used to be. And so that's kind of nice and fun also. BallroomUtah actually was created with the need of the community. So I mean, I had a place to teach. I was renting a little space, and I was okay. But there were so many teachers coming in, and everybody wanted to teach, and there was no place to teach in Salt Lake City. I mean, again, there are the other dance places everywhere, but there was no actual dance studio in Salt Lake City. So we had no choice but to open it, and to open it in the what we call independent format instead of Fred Astaire and Maria. As a matter of fact, because I worked for Fred Astaire for so many years, at the moment I opened a dance studio here, the heads of Fred Astaire, including my friend Antoinette, called me. It's like, okay, you're turning Fred Astaire. I'm like, no, I can't, because I have a bunch of independent teachers that are just renting space, and Fred Astaire doesn't allow it. So they're not as flexible. They're a franchise. When you are McDonald's, you cannot serve some specialty that your chef makes, like crepes.
Yep.
So they don't have crepes on it. Maybe the Paris McDonald's does, but
I'm sure one of them has crepes on the menu.
But basically, so Fred Astaire didn't allow to have independent teachers, so we didn't become a franchise, which is nice to have. I must say, I had a very nice time. I mean, everybody it's like our studio is a little family. Imagine 140 studios, and we get together for competitions. Everybody really, really, really knew each other. All those people that people know, like Tony Dovolani and Max and Karina, we're all Fred Astaire. Yeah. So we knew each other from before Dancing with the Stars and all those shows as a family of Fred Astaire. But now we have a family of BallroomUtah, and we have people that only work for BallroomUtah, or they're completely independent, or 50-50, like you, whatever. And that's great. I mean, it works for us, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think just for those that maybe aren't as familiar with the difference between franchise and independent. So franchise, when you are an instructor, you are a W-2 employee. You are their staff member. You're required to be on site a certain number of hours. You are given students to work with, and essentially you are a worker for the studio. An independent studio can operate a couple different ways. When we use the term independent, it really just means not franchise. So you could be completely on your own. You could be teaching from a specific syllabus. Some independent studios still have staff members, so they still have W-2 employees that are on payroll. You are an employee, you work normal hours. And then other studios, and I think this is the vast majority, especially in the US, we are all considered independent contractors. So that, from an instructor standpoint, is great because it gives us the flexibility to work the hours that we want. We can take on clients that we really want to work with, or we can have the freedom to decline clients that, for whatever reason, aren't in our best interest to work with. And from a studio owner perspective, I mean, that gives you the flexibility to have many different instructors that are associated with your studio that teach a variety of different specialties, so that you can really offer a huge amount of service to the community that's interested in taking lessons without having to take on the overhead associated with having those people considered weekly staff.
With stuff. So yeah, especially with dances that are um, uh, popular in a small groups, like West Coast swing, lilindi, Argentine tango, salsa, and bachata. Correct? Those are like, there's some people that only know how to salsa. Now they don't know they know how to cha-cha and rumba and waltz, because that's all related. And so we're not gonna disillusion them. So they really know more dances, but they think they only like the one dance and they only know that, and that's wonderful. And we do have these specific instructors and or classes, or we had, and we're gonna resume them as soon as possible. So one downturn, I guess, for being independent was when the pandemic hits. We're all out of job.